Don't know what Société Générale is. It alludes to a great many countries, including the U.S. Here a contrast, something you'd see often in the Baltics, but here's its counterpoint. How much newer this is, I don't know. This is the courthouse, probably fairly obvious once I think about it. And once I have a clue that it is. This is where I start the free English tour of Sofia. And the impression I get of Sofia, this is my first morning after my little walk last night, is this is a very genteel first world city. Not of the size and caliber of New York and Paris and London, but in its size. From where I'm standing, I'm looking straight at Seveta Nedelia Square and that church, which is, I think, the largest church of its size, except somewhere else there's one a few inches taller, a few feet taller. Local dogs. I'm just going to make some shots around it on the assumption that our guide will take us perhaps deeper into it if we can go. And again, this very lovely ambience of trees, buildings in good shape, reasonably clean, monuments about. Mosque there on the right, don't know what that monument is, we'll see in a few moments, and I'm sure on the trip, on the tour. And here people tend to be inherently friendly to tourists. If you say "Zdravo" or smile, they usually react. Sometimes the older people not so. They don't speak English and are unfamiliar with tourists in the wider world. Say what you want, but the evidence of McDonald's, heavy evidence of McDonald's, there to my left, Samsung, KFC, and not to mention a metro station, is a heavy indicator of a first world level city. It's not only a subway passage, but also a passage from one side of the street to another. But notice the phenomenal difference between the gentility, the sparseness here, and the incredible cacophony of businesses and noise and people in any such place in China. To orientate you, my first shot of that Nevsky Cathedral was from the other side. The courthouse is to the right and to the beyond those trees. Here is that statue, and that's a new statue. This whole square is being built right here. And directly behind me is a very interesting view because there's two huge buildings. One's a hotel on the right, and the other is, I don't know what it is. But there's a huge building down there, very impressive, very quasi-Greek Roman looking. But in the forefront, in the middle of this hugeness, is this pretty little old church. Pretty only in the sense that it is old, because it's very simple. It looks like a square with rock facing. Just poking into a cleared, excavated gap in this street's facade of buildings where we can look behind at some of the older buildings, just for the fun of it. Nothing particularly impressive about them, except that I'm sure when you live in that house, you know you're living in an old house. And then up on top there, kind of somewhat interesting, and in all fairness to Skopje, I suspect that its goal is to become like this city. And this city, to be fair, still continuing to do its major construction of infrastructure. This looks like an extension of a road, or at least of this sidewalk. This city still under construction here, a small square off to my left behind those trees, but looking here at this, whatever that building is, it's actually a bank. They're a very pretty building. Whether it was an original or not, I don't know. One of the benefits of Sofia has had is that it didn't suffer a catastrophic earthquake like Sofia did in 1963, and here right across the street a mosque. An interesting statue, and I'll try and get a little more detail off of it. If I had to make a guess, it's some kind of an allusion to the concept of Adam and Eve. And I'm going to have to spiral around it to get this, because the artwork does. There's the apple. There's the serpent. Other wildlife, for whatever the reason, maybe to reflect wilderness. An iconic arm to be touched for luck. And perhaps the consummation. The dove signaling peace, perhaps, and tranquility. And here, right behind this bank building, another mosque, but a spectacular one in the sense of design elements. Even the roof being paneled like it is offers more interest than is usually seen. And there above the three-part window, again some interesting detail. And up at the top, that kind of square-sized onion-shaped illusion, but this one mesh, and the other is more normal looking to us. And here, rather than a simple dome, is almost a sphere. Notice also the use of apparently either plaster or white stone on the outside for architectural variety, one wall to the other. And here the lovely three-arched, three-dome.
During the tour, this one or another, of course. All right. You can pay attention here and you get most of it in a summary. Excavations done here. So this is a reference to our. Sofia doesn't have a river or a sea, unfortunately. Mineral springs of the city. I already mentioned the mineral springs, and actually we'll see a spring. We'll be able to drink some mineral water. Sofia is quite rich. A church, Hagia Sophia. This is